Hello, everyone. I'm here again with my thoughts on the WAFCON 2024 semi-final match between Nigeria and South Africa. Here are my thoughts. Please, it's important to note that I am not here to analyze the game. No, these are my thoughts, what I think about the game. I am not analyzing it. So let me dive straight into it. Yeah, the match. We all know the rivalry between South Africa and Nigeria. I mean, in recent years, over the last couple of 10 years, I mean, if I should say, in the last decade, South Africa have actually, shown a couple of superiority against Nigeria, vice versa. And the rivalry continues to build up and on all of that. So these days, it's usually very difficult for Super Falcons to beat South Africa hands down with a lot of goal margin. It doesn't happen anymore. It's always been with a very slim goal score line, maybe either 2-1 or 1-0 like that. And yesterday's fixture was, one of those games where it could either go either Nigeria's way or South Africa's way. So getting right into it during the first half, Super Falcons dominated the game as they've always done going into this tournament, and they actually played South Africa hands down in the first half. You know, their transitioning was quick. They committed more numbers up front in South African goal area, trying to push and get that goal. I think the mindset was to kill that game in the first half. They had their scoring chances, and South African defense did very well to, keep Nigeria at bay and all of that. Lucky enough, Ejamilusi had, a couple of moments in the South African goal area around the 18-yard box, like two or three times. Each time she have the ball inside that box, she will have there's always a 3v1 situation against the Jamilusi, and she will just try to do some quick feats, dribble around to get her way out of three defensive players. And she tried that one once. The South Africans outpowered her. She tried it a couple of more times before that penalty came about. There were also South African defenders around her when she tried to play that ball. Then he hit the South African defender's hand. That was how we got our first goal through a penalty. And Ajibade did a very good job to slot it in 1-0 into the break. Nigeria was leading 1-0 in the first half. And apart from that goal, the penalty goal, we had a couple of other moments where Esther Korunkwo would have, slotted in the ball. There was an aerial ball where she controlled it and tried to place it, but Dlamini, the South African goalkeeper, was, you know, amazing to have stopped that ball. And the rebound came to Ihezu. Ihezu tried to play, but there was a defender there who saved, almost like a goal line clearance. And that was how it ended for the first half. Nigeria was one goal up. Then in the second half, coming back into the second half, South Africa began to, pick themselves up a little bit, and they tried to match Nigeria aura for aura, the same physicality, the same mobility and athleticism and all of that. So the game became balanced towards the um, half-hour mark. Yeah, and then before that, unfortunate injury happened to Gabriel Salgado. I mean, what a scene that was. That was, if you watched it, we didn't see the replay, but it was a devastating moment for both teams. The Nigerian players were emotionally down. The South Africans were emotionally down as well. Some of them were even crying, and the Nigerian players tried to, console them and all of that. So in that moment, it was very difficult for both teams. Emotions have to come in to play, and that moment was really tough. for both teams. So, and after that moment, they stretched her off, took her out of the field, and the game continued. And South Africa, it also took them time to get back into the game and all of that. But towards the end of the game, around 90 minutes, no, around I think around 80th minute, South Africa began to stretch, put more pressure on the Nigerian team, the defense, and even before the injury, I think I skipped the penalty side where South Africa equalized. That was before Salgado's injury. The penalty from Ohali, that could have been avoided really, because it was. I think her hand was not in a natural. For somebody who's running, her hands were off her body. She was. I think it was in that process that she now pulled Magaya back, and it was a penalty. Penalty was awarded to South Africa, and they equalized. They were now on level. Linda Matlaho, who slaughtered it in, beating Jamakan Nadoze, it was 1-1. So after that penalty, the injury happened, and after that, the game picked up again. And South Africa, between 80, 90 minutes, they added, I think there was extra 6 minutes added time because of the injury that happened. So South Africa came with a lot of pressure around the end of the game, and coupled with the fact that Ayinde also got subbed off. She got a yellow card, and also perhaps it was tired legs, or because I saw when she was down on the field stretching her legs, or perhaps cramps or something. It could have been anything. She's played in almost, I think, all the games except for the was it Algerian game? Yes, yeah, except for the Algerian game where she was rested, she didn't start that much. So perhaps it's fatigue and all of. But the moment they took her off, I was a little bit worried because the pressure was not too much on us, and we saw, for the first time, I saw a Nigerian defense that were tested, and it felt as though they were a bit shaky at the back. It felt as though they were a bit shaky at the back, and thanks to that last minute goal from Alozie, that lob from her that Deborah ran in front of the goalkeeper to confuse the goalkeeper, and that was how that winning goal came. 2-1 at the end of the day. And honestly, that goal couldn't have come at a better time. And I was already bracing up for 120 minutes, really, because I looked at the time, 90 minutes plus 4 minutes, because that was when that goal came. 90 plus 4. So I'm like, well, it looks like we're going into extra time. But having that goal come when it did, it was a good goal. So now Nigeria defeated South Africa in the semi-final 2-1. Now they're on their way to the final. It's going to be against Morocco on Saturday, the WAFCON 2024 final. So now this brings me back to the previous edition, the semi-final match between Morocco and Nigeria, where Nigeria had to push through the end of that game with 9 players against 11. They got 2 red cards. So we don't know what to expect on Saturday, but I believe this will more or less be a revenge match for the Super Falcons. So stay tuned for Saturday. Perhaps that's when they will accomplish the mission X, or perhaps it will go the other way. But I know the Super Falcons will not disappoint to bring back the new trophy. They want to make history. The new trophy, the 10th title, which is the Mission X, the revenge match, and the mere fact that each time they miss out on winning this tournament, they come back the next edition and win it. So the last edition, they missed out on winning it, and coming back into this edition, Will they win it? It has become a trend for the Super Falcons. So there are 4 factors at play here: winning the new trophy, the 10th title, vengeance against the Moroccans, and continuing in the same trend, not winning the previous edition and coming back to win the next edition. Good luck, Super Falcons, on Saturday. I'll keep you guys updated on that one. Stay tuned.